How's it going, everyone? Got quite a bit to talk about in this video. I know I'm a little bit late on it. I wanted the news to die down a little bit, but let's talk the PlayStation Handheld. It seemed like that was all over social media yesterday. I saw a lot of rage once people realized what this handheld actually was, and if you were expecting a PSP 2, I guess that would be the PlayStation Vita, PlayStation Vita 2, whatever, you are not going to be getting that. I think Sony has kind of been scarred from really entering the handheld space again. But let's talk Sony's next PlayStation handheld. As noted by Tom Henderson on Insider Gaming, codenamed the Q-Lite, the next PlayStation handheld is the next piece of Sony hardware that aims to be yet another piece of hardware that requires the PlayStation 5. That already should be incredibly alarming for you. Insider Gaming understands that the Q-Lite is not a cloud streaming device, but instead uses remote play with the PlayStation 5, a feature that the console giant has been pushing these past couple of weeks. Supporting adaptive streaming up to 1080p and 60 FPS, the new device will require constant connectivity to the internet. As for the console's physical features, they note an 8-inch LCD touchscreen in the center. The device supports adaptive triggers for haptic feedback and will include what you would come to expect from a handheld: volume button, speakers, and audio input jack, etc., etc. It's expected to release before the PlayStation 5 Pro and after the detachable disk drive PS5, which I imagine that will be coming late 2023. The PS5 Pro maybe fall of 2024, and then this sometime in the earlier mid portion of 2024 as well. Now, let's talk about this handheld. My goodness, did I see a lot of venom, a lot of rage on social media. Look, I got baited by the headlines as well. I was excited for a moment when I saw, images of the PlayStation Vita circulating, and people were like, oh my goodness, a new PlayStation handheld is coming. Yeah, I definitely got excited. Look, I have been a homer for PlayStation handhelds, the PSP and the PS Vita, for as long as I can remember. Like, if we're talking about platforms that a lot of people dislike that I personally really like, PSP, PS Vita all day. And that's even outside of, utilizing things such as custom firmware and whatnot, although custom firmware does take those platforms to another level. But I thought the PSP's game library was super underrated. Yes, there was a period of time where it seemed like Sony just completely gave up on the handheld. I want to say it was like between years 2 to 4 of the PSP. Yeah, the PSP came out in 2004, I believe, and there was a period, I want to say 07 to 08, it really wasn't that great, and there was a lot of shortcomings. But when you look at the overall library, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, Resistance Retribution, Dissidia Final Fantasy, what else? Even titles like Killzone Liberation was on the PSP. You had the GTA titles. I thought there was a lot of quality. Even stuff like, the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Heroes titles. I enjoyed them. I mean, I know I'm a homer for Naruto as well, and those games weren't that great. Let's be real. But I was still a homer for those games. And I thought it had a super underrated library. The Vita, from a hardware standpoint, oh my goodness, I loved it. I thought it felt great, it obviously looked great. Shortcomings obviously being the price point, the egregiously priced memory cards, and the thing is, when the Vita price point was announced, initially people were very happy about it. It was $250 because it had parity to the price point of the 3DS. Then Nintendo comes in, boom! 3DS drops in price by $80. Oh, look at that, you don't have to buy an overpriced memory card for it as well, essentially making the 3DS $100 cheaper than the Vita. It just became a much more compelling option, and then the 3DS's library really started to heat up, and that was kind of it for the Vita. Even though I loved it, a lot of people were going to go with the 3DS, but the Vita had some quality titles. Gravity Rush, Freedom Wars, Killzone Mercenary, quite possibly the best handheld first-person shooter I've ever played. That game was tremendous. Uncharted Golden Abyss, which for some reason we haven't gotten a remaster of, and I can go on and on. The Vita didn't have as robust of a library as the PSP because it really seemed like Sony gave up on the Vita even quicker than they did on the PSP. If you remember, the PSP actually had a bit of a resurgence back in 2009 after Sony had kind of slowed down, but then that resurgence in 2009, I think 09 had Dissidia and Resistance Retribution in that same calendar year, so those are two major titles. But in this case, that's your history lesson on PlayStation and my love for PlayStation handhelds back in the day. Look, the PSP, I think people get it twisted that that platform was not successful because it wasn't as successful as the gargantuanly successful Nintendo DS. No, the PSP was still pretty darn successful. Go look at the sales numbers for that console. The PS Vita, at that point, that's where I could see Sony being like, okay, yeah, maybe we don't put this investment level, especially because those Vita games, at that point, when you're talking to Golden Abyss, it's not like that game was a small undertaking. No, that's a big budget title that you're trying to put on a Vita that didn't sell that well, and ultimately that game probably didn't sell that many copies, and I can understand why Sony's of the mindset, hey, we want to be more of the mindset of cultivating this PlayStation 5 ecosystem and creating stuff that's going to be accessories towards that and enhancing that overall market space. What I would have liked to see in an ideal world, I would have liked to see them do something in the sense of trying to get the hardware of a PlayStation 4 in a portable form factor PSP, a form factor device, trying to get PlayStation Plus utilized with it, offering a lot of titles on PlayStation Plus Extra to be available on a potential, handheld device. You can go all digital if you want. I don't think that's an issue. The Steam Deck has been widely successful, and I have a Steam Deck, and it's one of my favorite platforms to game on these days, just because it's got decent horsepower, and you're talking about games running at a 1200 by 800 resolution, which doesn't sound crazy, but in a small screen, that works relatively well, and the games become easier to run. And obviously on the deck, they're run natively. The deck can utilize remote play, much like what the sole focus of Q-Lite is going to be, but that's only a component of the deck and only an element of it. But obviously, what's going to be interesting about the Q-Lite is, what is this price point going to be? Look, Sony is not shy about pricing their things incredibly high. Look at the price of the DualSense Edge wireless controller. Look at the price of these PC ports that PlayStation's putting out, or even like The Last of Us Part 1. These games are supremely expensive, and hardware-wise, I don't think it's gonna get any cheaper. I think that the Q-Lite, even being just a remote play device, I could easily see this being $250, $300, just because I feel like Sony knows that, there's gonna be a hardcore audience that wants everything PlayStation related, and let's try to extract as much profit from that audience as we can. Look at the price point of VR2 as well. Like, it's so high. You can make the argument VR2's hardware, warrants that price point, but some of the stuff Sony's pricing is super high these days, and I think the idea is, let's put it out at a super high price point. The people that want to buy it right away will buy it right away. They'll appreciate it, and we can lower the price as we go, and then, open up hardware to be bought by a larger user base. That's just how I see them doing things, and it's obviously not what I like to see, but that's what I see going forward. So that's my 2 cents on the PlayStation handheld, this Q-Lite. I'm not a big fan of it. Like, if it's just dedicated to remote play, that's obviously going to push people away, but I understand why Sony might not be all in on a new PlayStation Vita, a new PlayStation Portable, even though I feel like if done right, there's still potential, and you can, connect it to the PS5 in various ways and still create a collective ecosystem where they can complement one another, but it can still stand alone as its own product as well. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Interested to hear what you guys think. I'm not a big fan of it. Honestly, I think it's kind of lame, and honestly, I think it's going to be egregiously priced, just like a lot of the stuff PlayStation and Sony have been putting out. But yeah, that's my 2 cents, and maybe I'm being a little bit overwhelmingly negative based on just knowing this as a report. But again, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.